The crash wasn't just metal on metal, it was fate smashing two lives into one another. In the blurry chaos of lights and sirens, Emily's hands trembled as she pressed gauze against the man's bleeding forehead. Her mind was still in shock, her doctor's instinct kicking in on autopilot. Noah, unconscious, whispered a name in his fading breath. Not hers, not anyone's she knew. That moment burned itself into her memory like a scar, and she didn't even know why. Days later, the hospital corridor buzzed with the usual flurry, but for Emily, time moved slower. She walked into the rehab ward expecting another round of routine patients. Instead, room 207 changed everything. There he was, the man from the wreckage, Noah Reynolds. Newly paralyzed, half resentful, half defeated, his eyes scanned her like a threat. "You again," he muttered almost accusingly. She didn't respond. She just looked at him with a calm defiance. "Yes, me." The sessions started tense. Noah resisted every instruction. "I'm not your charity case," he growled, arms stiff as iron. Emily stayed composed. "You're my patient, that's all." But it wasn't all. From the moment their eyes met during that crash, something else lingered beneath the surface, a strange pull, a magnetism neither fully understood nor dared to admit. Every touch during therapy carried more than professional weight. There was friction, and friction creates heat. Emily didn't talk much about herself. That was deliberate. Noah, despite his pain and sarcasm, noticed everything. Her bruised knuckles, the way she flinched when her phone rang. "Bad past or bad present?" he asked one afternoon. She smiled faintly. "Which one do you think leaves deeper scars?" For once, he didn't have a comeback. That silence, so rare from him, spoke volumes. But not all silences are peaceful. Some are loud with secrets. Late one night, Emily reviewed Noah's medical file and something didn't add up. His listed emergency contact was fake. His previous medical history was redacted. Redacted. What kind of man has a government-level blackout on a sprained wrist 5 years ago? And why did her attending physician, Dr. Hawthorne, suddenly warn her, "Don't get close to him. He's not who he says he is"? The next morning, Noah wasn't in room 207. Panic wasn't something Emily wore well, but it clawed through her chest anyway. She found him outside, struggling with a walker, face contorted in frustration. "Trying to escape already?" she said, helping steady him. He looked at her, breathing hard. Trying to feel alive again. That was the first time he let her touch him without recoiling. From then, progress was slow but real. Emily knew the path of recovery, physically at least. Emotionally, that was foreign terrain. She found herself lingering after sessions, asking about his tattoos, his music taste, the way he never seemed to sleep. He asked about her dreams, and for once she told someone. She wanted a house by the sea. "With silence," he joked. "With peace," she replied. One night, after a particularly grueling session, Noah looked at her differently. Not like a patient, not like a broken man, but like someone seeing the sun after years underground. "If I walked again," he said quietly, "would you run?" She didn't blink. "I'd probably walk beside you." It was the first time. Emily realized she was already walking toward something dangerous and beautiful. Then came the letter, slid under her office door. No return address, no explanation. Just 2 words. He lied. Enclosed, a photo of Noah. Standing. Standing. Not months ago. Days. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Was this a mistake? A cruel joke? Or was everything unraveling before it even began? Emily confronted him that night. "Tell me who you are," she demanded, voice shaking. Noah stared at her, then said calmly, "I can't." She turned to leave. His voice followed. "But I can tell you why I lied." She stopped, back still turned. "Then you'd better make it worth my trust," she whispered. And just like that, the fracture between them deepened, but so did the intrigue. Something wasn't right, but something was very, very real. Emily couldn't sleep. Her thoughts spiraled into images that didn't belong together. Noah's face, the crash, sight, the mysterious photo. Her trust had become fragile, and yet she couldn't fully sever it. There was something in the way he looked at her that felt honest, even while wrapped in lies. But honesty wasn't enough now. She needed the truth, or at least something close to it. The next day, she walked into room 207 with her shoulders squared, her gaze steel. Noah sat on the edge of the bed, his legs trembling slightly from the effort. "You're pushing harder," she said coolly. He shrugged. "You told me to try. Harder." There was a beat of silence. "Tell me," she pressed. "What was in that photo was real," he said, eyes not leaving hers. But not the full story. Noah revealed that a month before the crash he'd been involved in something classified, something that went wrong. "I'm not a soldier," he said, "but I was doing a job for people who don't like leaving footprints." He paused. "It ended badly?" Emily leaned in. "So the injury was real," he cut in. "But it wasn't just the crash that broke me. It was what came before." Flashback. Noah in a dimly lit warehouse, a briefcase in hand, someone screaming, shots fired. His voiceover echoed. "Sometimes to disappear you need to lose everything, even your legs." Emily listened, heart pounding. "Why come here?" she asked. "Why lie to everyone?" He looked down. "Because if they find me, I'm dead. And now, maybe you too." For the first time, Emily truly understood the depth of his isolation. This wasn't just a man running from pain. He was running from death. And yet, she stayed. "I'm not afraid," she said. "You should be," he replied. A week passed. They worked in silence sometimes and other times in conversations that danced dangerously close to vulnerability. Emily's colleagues began to notice. Dr. Hawthorne asked to speak with her privately. "Whatever connection you think you have with him," he said, "cut it now, or you'll regret it." That night, Emily's apartment was broken into. Nothing stolen, nothing touched, except for a single file from her desk. Noah's record. Her hands trembled as she dialed his emergency contact. No answer. She rushed to the hospital, but room 207 was empty. Panic clawed at her throat. She found him in the hospital's underground parking lot, hands shaking, standing upright. "You're walking," she whispered. He nodded, slowly. "I was trying to leave without you seeing." "Why?" "Because you deserve normal," he said, "and I'm anything but." Emily stepped forward, placed a hand on his chest. "Do you think I'm still here because I want normal?" she said, eyes burning. He didn't answer, but he didn't step back either. Just then, a figure appeared from the shadows, a man in a suit, silent, cold eyes locked on Noah. "It's time," he said. Noah stiffened. Emily's grip tightened. "Who is he?" she asked. "A reminder," Noah said, "that I never really left that world." The man handed Noah a phone. "One message. 1 week. Or we clean up for you." Emily stood her ground. "I don't care what you're running from, but if they come after you again, they come through me first." He looked at her, something unspoken, passing between them. For the first time, Noah looked afraid, not for himself, but for her. Later that night, Emily opened her email. An anonymous message sat in her inbox. "You still don't know what he did, but you will." Attached was a video, file. The thumbnail froze her heart. Noah standing, healthy, holding a briefcase and a gun. Emily stared at the video for hours before pressing play. The still frame haunted her, The man she had grown to trust, now frozen in a moment that reeked of danger. She watched the footage unfold in silence. Noah in a foreign alley exchanging words with two men. The audio was muted, but the intensity of the moment spoke louder than any sound. Then, without hesitation, he pulled a gun. One man dropped, the other fled. Noah looked down at the body, emotionless. When the screen went black, so did her breath. She tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was self-defense. Maybe there was more to the story. But the image wouldn't leave her. Was this the same man who held her hand during physical therapy, who made coffee like it was an art form, who looked at her like she was his anchor? The next morning, Noah waited in her office. Before she arrived, he could tell by her eyes that something had shifted. "You saw it," he said, no point in pretending. "I saw something," she replied. "Was it real?" He nodded. "Every second of it." Emily crossed her arms, voice sharper now. "You killed someone, Noah." "Yes," he answered, eyes unwavering. "And I'd do it again." He explained the mission, a rescue gone wrong, a hostage, a betrayal. "I wasn't supposed to live through it," he said. "They left me for dead, so I returned the favor." There was a long silence. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Because no one stays after they hear what I've done." But Emily stayed. Not because she understood it all, but because something in her recognized the weight of survival. "I don't know what scares me more," she said, "what you did, or how much I still care despite it." Noah reached out to touch her hand, but she pulled away. "Not yet," she whispered. At the hospital, rumors swirled. Emily's colleagues whispered about her and Noah. Dr. Hawthorne watched her too closely. Something was brewing, and it wasn't just between her and Noah. That night she found her office ransacked again. This time nothing was missing, but everything was in disarray. Her computer screen flashed once before shutting off completely. A message burned briefly on the screen. "Run while you still can." She didn't tell Noah. Not yet. Instead, she called an old friend, Sam, a former tech analyst. "I need you to trace something," she said, sending the video file. Discreetly. Hours later, Sam called back. "Emily, where did you get this?" "Why?" "Because this isn't just any footage. It's classified military surveillance. And whoever sent it to you, they wanted you to turn on him." Meanwhile, Noah's nightmares worsened. Emily began hearing him scream in his sleep. One night, unable to bear it, she stayed. She sat beside his bed, brushing his hair back as he shivered. "I see them," he muttered. "Every night. The ones I couldn't save." Her heart cracked. Flashback. Noah in the middle of a burning warehouse trying to lift a crying child from the rubble. Smoke, screams, blood. He failed. Back in the present, Emily whispered, "You don't have to carry this alone." He opened his eyes. "But I always have." The next day, Dr. Hawthorne summoned her. "We're reassigning you," he said coldly. "Your proximity to Mr. Reynolds is compromising your judgment." Emily didn't argue. She simply asked, "Who gave that order?" Hawthorne didn't answer, but his eyes flicked just briefly toward the security camera. Emily left his office knowing one thing for certain. Someone in this hospital wanted Noah gone, and now they were turning the system against her. The reassignment hit Emily harder than she admitted. She told herself it was for the best. Distance might clarify everything. But as she walked the sterile halls toward her new department, every step away from Noah felt like a betrayal. Her hands, so used to steadying others, now trembled as if her own foundation had shifted. Noah didn't take the news well. "They moved you?" he asked, voice cold, hiding a deeper fear. She nodded. "They said it was a conflict of interest. And what do you say?" She looked away. "I say, maybe they're right." He laughed bitterly. "You say that now? After everything?" Later that evening, Emily sat alone in her apartment, staring at her phone. The silence between them had grown heavier. It wasn't absence, it was restraint. She typed a message. "I didn't ask for this," then deleted it. She didn't know if she was trying to convince him or herself. Sam called back that night. "The metadata on that video you sent, it's been tampered with, spliced together. There's more than one camera feed." "So it's fake?" Emily asked. "No," Sam replied. "It's worse. It's real. But it's edited to tell their version." Emily's stomach dropped. "Who are they?" Sam sighed. "Whoever he used to work for." The next day, Emily returned to the hospital, determined to find Noah. But he was gone. His room empty, his name erased from the patient log. Panic exploded inside her. She cornered a nurse in the hallway. "Where's Noah Reynolds?" The nurse shrugged. "I don't know who that is." Emily ran to the security office. "I need to review footage," she said. The guard blinked. "You don't have clearance anymore." She pushed past him. "Then fire me." What she saw made her blood freeze. Noah, unconscious, being wheeled out by two men in civilian clothes. No hospital staff involved, no ambulance, just a black van and vanishing tracks. That night, Emily sat with Sam at a quiet diner on the edge of town. "He said they'd come for him," she whispered, and they did. Sam slid her a flash drive. "This has everything I could dig up. Names, affiliations, old operations. But Emily, if you go any further, they'll come for you too." She took it anyway. She had already crossed a line. There was no going back. Flashback. Noah, as a younger man, being pulled from the water, barely breathing. A hand reaches for him. A voice. "You're one of us now. Forget who you were." Emily dreamt of that face that night. The man who saved Noah. The same man who took him away. 3 days later, Emily received a package. No return address. Inside, a burner phone and a note. 1 call. 1 minute. That's all you get. The phone rang before she could even power it off. She answered. "Emily?" Noah's voice was broken, faint, distant. "Don't try to find me. Please." Tears welled up instantly. "Where are you?" she whispered. "Safe, for now. But they know you're looking. You need to stop." "I can't." Silence. Then his voice cracked. "I lied to you." "About what?" she whispered, a long pause. "About why I came to your hospital." The call ended. Emily dropped the phone. Her heart thundered. The lies were deeper than she thought. The reason he found her wasn't coincidence. It was a plan. Now she needed to find out if she was just collateral in someone else's war, or the real target all along. Emily's apartment had never felt like a cage before, but now every wall whispered, "He lied." The echo of Noah's last words rang louder than any siren. She tried to make sense of it. Why her? Why that hospital? The possibility that her life had been manipulated from the beginning twisted something inside her. She went back to the flash drive Sam gave her, hoping for a clue. Clicking through old case files, encrypted messages, and GPS logs, she froze on one folder titled Project Revenant. Most of it was unreadable, scrambled code, but one document opened, a list of hospital names. And there, circled in red, Westbridge Medical Rehabilitation. Her hospital. She scrolled further. A blurry photograph of her entering the hospital. Another of her exiting a pharmacy. Chills ran down her spine. They'd been watching her. Long before Noah ever arrived. She wasn't just part of his story. She was the starting point. Flashback. Noah in a military briefing room. A man hands him a dossier. Her photo is in it. Her background checks out. No immediate family. Stable. Intelligent. Controlled risk. Noah hesitates. "You want me to use her?" The man nods. "We want her to save you, without knowing she is." Emily snapped the laptop shut, nausea rising. She couldn't trust him. Not anymore. But she still couldn't stop caring. That was the cruel part. Even betrayal couldn't kill the feeling that somewhere in all this, his care for her had been real. A knock shattered the silence. She grabbed a kitchen knife before peeking through the peephole. Sam. She opened the door slowly. "You look like hell," he said. "Thanks." He stepped in, handed her coffee. "The phone he used, it's traceable. I pulled a ping." Emily looked up sharply. "Where?" Sam pointed at the screen. "A map. Ludlow County Sanatorium." "Abandoned?" she asked. "Officially, yes, but there's a high-frequency signal bouncing from the east wing. Someone's there." She drove out before dawn, heart pounding with every mile. The building was a skeleton of brick and ivy, the wind whistling through broken windows. Inside, the air reeked of bleach and mold. She followed her flashlight through the echoing halls until a voice whispered from the dark, "You shouldn't be here." Noah stepped into the beam of light, face gaunt, a cut bleeding down his cheek. "They let me go," he said. "Why?" "Because I told them I failed," he replied. "Failed what?" she asked, stepping closer. "Failed to get you to believe I never cared." Emily slapped him, hard, then her hands trembled. "Tell me the truth, all of it. No more games." He breathed heavily. "I was sent to you. You were part of the plan. But somewhere along the way, I forgot the mission." She stared at him. "You mean you fell in love?" He nodded. "And I knew it was the one thing that would destroy us both." Before she could respond, the silence shattered. Gunshots in the distance. Noah grabbed her hand. "They followed you," he said. "You led them here." Fear froze her for a second. Then instinct took over. They ran. Down the hall. Into the basement. Through rusted doors and dripping ceilings. She didn't stop to ask where. Only that his hand never let go. When they finally emerged into the forest behind the building, out of breath and bleeding, Noah collapsed beside a fallen tree. "They'll keep coming," he said. "They don't care if I'm broken, only if I'm silent." Emily looked at him, exhausted. "Then we stop running." He smiled weakly. "You say that like we have a choice." And somewhere in the trees, red lights blinked in the dark. They hid in an abandoned ranger's cabin, deep in the forest where no signal could reach. Emily watched as Noah stitched his own wound under candlelight, sweat glistening on his skin, jaw clenched tight. She wanted to help, but he wouldn't let her touch him. "It's not that I don't trust you," he said. "It's that I don't deserve it." Emily paced, her breath fogged in the cold. "You say that like it absolves you." "It doesn't," he said, not looking up. "But I didn't lie because I wanted to. I lied because I had to." She turned away. "There's always a choice, Noah. You made yours. Now I have to make mine." He finally met her gaze. "Then choose the truth. Let me tell you everything." The next hour unraveled a history Emily could barely believe. Project Revenant, Noah explained, was a ghost operation designed to rebuild broken operatives for use in domestic surveillance. They weren't just healing people. They were rewiring them, reassigning identities. I was patient 11. He pointed to a tattoo near his collarbone, a faded Roman numeral Ticast. "They put me back together, and then they owned me. Every move I made was under a leash. Until you." Flashback. Noah in therapy, staring blankly at screens, electrodes stuck to his skull. A voice. "Emotional triggers will be monitored. Romantic stimuli must be suppressed." He watches a video of Emily, secretly recorded, laughing with a colleague. His heartbeat spikes. "Reset the conditioning," the voice says. Emily reeled. "They used me to test you." "No," he said softly. "They used you to heal me." but I broke their machine." They spent the night in silence, the air filled with all the words they couldn't say. Morning came with frost and a decision. "We can't keep running," Emily said. "There has to be a way to fight back." Noah nodded. "I have one contact left. A man who left the program, lives off-grid, but getting to him means going through the city, and that means danger," she finished. "Everywhere." They hiked to the nearest highway and hitched a ride with a farmer who didn't ask questions. At dusk, they reached a rundown motel on the outskirts of the city. Emily showered while Noah stood guard by the window, gun in hand. "They'll be watching all entry points," he said. She came out wrapped in a towel, bruises on her legs, a gash on her shoulder. He looked away. "You should rest." "You, too," she replied. "We're not machines." That night she woke to the sound of his breathing. Uneven, shallow, a nightmare. She touched his arm and he flinched, then slowly relaxed. "Stay," he whispered. "Just until morning." The next day they met the contact, Jasper, a gray-bearded ex-operative with paranoia in his eyes. "You brought her," he hissed. "They'll trace her." "They already have," Noah said. Jasper unlocked a metal case. Inside, files, documents, photos, evidence of what Revenant did, including a black folder marked Emily Carter, Priority Case. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside, her childhood medical records, psychiatric assessments, recordings of her conversations from years ago. A transcript labeled, "Subject exhibits high empathy, ideal for emotional leverage." Her knees buckled. "They chose me," she whispered, "long before you did." Noah caught her, held her. "But I see you now, and I'm choosing you, for real." Somewhere in the city, a phone buzzed. Target acquired. They didn't have long. Jasper's safe house had been compromised before they even arrived. Within hours of Emily opening her file, a power outage surged through the block. Jasper didn't wait. "They found us," he muttered, grabbing a go bag. "They always do." Noah dragged Emily toward the fire escape, but she resisted. "We need to take the files." "There's no time," he hissed. She yanked the folder from the table. "Then make time." They fled into the city night, chased not by sirens but silence, more terrifying because of its precision. They holed up in an abandoned subway tunnel, lit only by flickering bulbs. Noah paced. Emily read through every document with trembling fingers. "I was monitored since I was 15, she whispered. "My first therapy session was a setup. They flagged me as emotionally compatible. I was never just a therapist, was I?" Noah shook his head slowly. "You were the end point, the test to prove if we could love again after being broken." Flashback, Emily at 19, walking. Home from school. A white van parked across the street. A man watches, murmuring into a headset. Subject remains unaware. Phase 1, successful. Back in the present, she clenched her fists. "I want to burn it all." "We will," Noah said, "but first, we need to release it." They uploaded the contents to a secure cloud, scheduled for public release if they failed to check in every 12 hours. It was a thin shield, but it was something. That night, they stayed close, bodies sharing warmth, breaths sinking. "If they come tonight," Emily whispered, "promise me something. Anything. Don't save me. Save yourself." Noah didn't answer, because he couldn't. At dawn, they moved again, into the heart of the city. They wore new clothes, took alleyways, avoided cameras. But paranoia had set in. Every reflection was a threat. Every stranger, a possible tale. Then they saw her, Dr. Marianne Halbrook, Emily's former mentor, walking casually into a coffee shop like she hadn't retired 2 years ago. "That's her," Emily whispered. "She ran Westbridge's trauma research program." Noah followed her in, sat across from her uninvited. "We know what you did," he said. Halbrook didn't flinch. "I know you do." "Why Emily?" he demanded. "Because we needed someone kind," she said simply. "To see if the heart could be used as a weapon." Emily burst in. "You stole my life!" Halbrook leaned forward and gave it purpose. "Without you, he'd still be a weapon. Now look at him. He's in love. He's human." That was E. When Emily realized, Halbrook wanted them to find her. "This isn't over," Emily said. "Oh, sweet girl," Halbrook smiled. "It's only just begun." The coffee shop erupted with light, flashbangs through the windows. Emily was pulled back. Noah slammed her behind a wall as smoke flooded the room. Screams. Chaos. Then, nothing. When Emily came to, the world was spinning. She lay on cold concrete. Noah was gone. Only a small bloodstain remained. She clutched his necklace in her fist and screamed. The days blurred. Emily returned to her apartment, but it felt like a museum of someone else's life. Every drawer, every mirror, every light switch carried memories too fragile to touch. The blood-stained necklace sat on her nightstand. She hadn't let go of it in days. She didn't know if Noah was alive, and the not knowing was worse than any truth. She reviewed security footage, hacked what she could. Sam tried to help, but the digital trail vanished after the coffee shop. No hospitals had admitted a man fitting Noah's description. No morgue had a match. But that didn't comfort her. That only confirmed one thing. They took him. And then, the envelope arrived. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. Noah, strapped to a gurney, eyes swollen, barely conscious. On the back, "Reprogramming begins tonight." Emily collapsed to her knees. Her screams were soundless this time. She contacted Jasper. "There's one place left," he told her, "where they take the ones who can't be fixed, where they erase the past completely." "Where?" she asked. "Everlight." A name she'd seen once in the file. A private facility buried in a desert town, hidden under the guise of a neurological institute. Emily packed a bag, swallowed her fear, and kissed the life she once knew goodbye. She drove alone. 12 hours through silence, no music, no phone, just the wind and her own rage. Everlight looked sterile from the outside. Glass, steel, serenity. Inside, it pulsed with artificial calm. She entered as Dr. Ellen Reese, a fake identity Sam had crafted. "I'm here to consult on a trauma case," she said at reception. "Patient 11. The woman behind the counter stiffened. "I'll call the administrator." Emily was led into a waiting room. The air smelled like chemicals and decay. She noticed cameras everywhere, eyes without faces. 10 minutes later, a man entered. Cold smile. "Dr. Reese, we've been expecting you." The next hour was a blur of fake credentials, borrowed authority, and shadowy corridors. Until finally, she found him. Noah. Sedated, restrained, head shaved, monitors hooked to his temples. His eyes fluttered as she touched his face. "Emily," he whispered. She sobbed. "I'm here. I'm here." But the door slammed behind her. 2 guards, the administrator. "We knew you'd come," he said. "That's why we let him live." "You're monsters," Emily hissed. "No," he replied. "We're surgeons, and he's our scalpel." They moved to grab her, but she was ready. Jasper had given her a flashbang and a switchblade. The room exploded with white light. She cut Noah loose, dragging him down the corridor. An alarm screamed through Everlight. Noah stumbled, half lucid. "You shouldn't have come." "Shut up and keep walking," she growled. They made it to the loading dock just as backup arrived. Jasper waited in a van. "Get in!" he screamed. Gunshots ripped through the night. A bullet grazed Emily's shoulder. She cried out, but didn't stop. They escaped. barely. Back in the van, Noah collapsed in her arms. "I saw you," he whispered. "Even when they tried to erase you? I held on to your name." Emily kissed his forehead, blood and tears mixing. "You came back for me," he said. She nodded. "And I always will." They hid in a storm drain beneath the city outskirts, rain cascading over rusted metal and echoing across concrete. Noah lay on a tattered blanket, sweating through withdrawal. Emily sat beside him, syringe in hand. "This will help flush out the sedatives," she whispered. "It'll hurt, but you'll come back." His teeth chattered as she injected him. The pain twisted his body. He screamed not just from the drug, but from memories crashing back in jagged fragments. Rooms with no light. Commands whispered in his sleep. Her voice, his anchor, scrambled into static. Emily held him through it all. "Remember who you are, not who they made you to be." He clung to her like a man drowning. "You're real," he whispered. "You're the only thing they couldn't delete." Days passed, each one clearer than the last. Noah slowly regained control of his mind, of his body. But the guilt remained. "I almost forgot your face," he said one morning. "They tried to erase you. And for a moment, it worked." Emily didn't cry. She couldn't afford to. "Then, we'll give them something else to remember. Pain." She showed him a copy of the drive, still safe, still armed with every document they'd leaked online, but the public hadn't noticed. Not yet. "We need something bigger," she said. "Something undeniable." Jasper returned from a supply run with news. "The media blackout is controlled by a shell company, Avoncore Industries. They fund Everlight, and they host a charity gala next week." Emily's eyes lit with fire. "Then that's where we end it." They planned meticulously. Avoncore's gala was the kind of event where billionaires sipped champagne over human suffering. It was invitation only, but Jasper could forge. Sam could hack. And Emily, she could walk through fire if it meant the truth burned with her. Flashback. Emily, younger, standing before a judge during her residency trial, accused of misconduct she didn't commit. Her voice cracked, but she never stopped speaking. That same steel filled her now. Gala night arrived. Emily wore black, silk, hair pinned, a camera wired beneath her necklace. Noah posed as her security. His steps were steady now, but rage flickered behind every blink. Inside, they found him. Dr. Hawthorne. He was laughing, wine in hand, surrounded by donors. "To progress," he toasted. "To control." Emily stepped forward. "To consequences," she whispered, too low for the crowd to hear. Hawthorne turned and froze. "You," he muttered. "How?" She leaned in. "You built monsters. Now meet the ones who escaped." Noah uploaded the files to the main projection system. Seconds later, the ballroom screens flickered. Surveillance, footage, names, dead faces, tortured patients, Patient 11, Project Revenant, the experiment that failed because it fell in love. Gasps rippled, then screams. Guards rushed in. Chaos erupted. Emily grabbed Noah's hand. "We have to go." But Hawthorne blocked their path. "You think this will bring it all down? You're fools." He raised a gun, silent, fast. Noah stepped in front of her. A shot. Emily screamed. Hawthorne fell. Jasper stood behind him, gun still raised. "Took you long enough," Emily choked out. They ran, into the city night. Sirens now chasing them, but this time for a different reason. The world knew. The story was out. But the war had only just begun. The video went viral within hours. By morning, hashtags trended worldwide. Icar Project, Revenant, Everlight Exposed. Whistleblowers stepped forward. Victims gave interviews from hidden locations. Senators called for hearings. But for Emily and Noah, there was no celebration, just movement, constant, because truth doesn't guarantee safety, only attention. They relocated to a safe house provided by a journalist brave enough to publish their story. The place was small, windowless, secure, but even safety can feel like a prison when you know too much. Noah sat by the door, gun across his lap. Emily paced. "The world's watching," she said, "but no one's stopping it." "The world watches a lot of things burn," Noah murmured. "Doesn't mean they put out the fire." Flashback. Emily's interview broadcast on national news. Her voice steady, her eyes fierce. "I was used, but I'm not a victim. I'm a witness, and I'm not afraid anymore." The anchor blinked, stunned. "Do you fear retaliation?" "Yes," she answered, "but not enough to be quiet." Back at the safe house, Jasper arrived with news. Avoncore is cutting ties with Everlight. But that doesn't mean they're finished. They're burying evidence, burning labs, vanishing people. Noah leaned forward. "What about Halbrook?" Jasper frowned. "She's vanished. No credit, cards, no signal, like she knew this was coming." Emily clutched the necklace Noah gave her, still hiding the camera that exposed them all. "She's not gone," she said. "She's hiding." Meanwhile, whispers spread across the media. Half truth, half conspiracy. Some called Emily a hero, others a manipulator. A few suggested she was part of a deeper game, that she and Noah were still agents. "They're trying to muddy the water," Sam said via encrypted call. "Confuse the narrative. Classic counter-disinformation." Noah snapped. "Then we give them clarity." He proposed a final blow, leaking the entire archive of Project Revenant, including files no one had seen yet, the patient trials, the preconditioning, the childhood selection program. But doing so would expose hundreds of names, some innocent, some powerful. Emily hesitated. This could destroy people who were never given a choice. Noah's eyes were cold. And how many were destroyed while no one looked? That night, Emily sat alone with the hard drive. She watched one video after another. Children in rooms, voices teaching them how to lie, how to obey, how to forget. Then she saw herself, 8 years old, talking to a puppet about emotions. Man's voice behind the camera. "Good girl, you're going to help so many people." Her scream shattered the silence. Noah rushed in, held her. She wept into his chest. "They chose me before I even had a chance." The next day, they made a choice. They released everything. Names redacted. Faces blurred. Except their own. Then they vanished again. Everlight was raided. Avoncore's stocks plummeted. Lawsuits exploded across the world. But behind the noise, a darker shadow grew. Those who lost control now wanted revenge. And at the center of it all, Emily and Noah, the spark that lit the match, now running from the blaze they created. They knew the knock wasn't friendly before it landed. 3 raps, precise, patterned, the kind only professionals use. Emily was in the kitchen, Noah at. The door with a Glock already raised. Silence followed. Then the paper slid under the door. Emily picked it up. No words, just a photo. Jasper. Dead. Shot once through the heart, the photo time-stamped 20 minutes prior. A message scrawled in red. "You took our face. We'll take yours." Noah cursed, ripping the paper. "They're not just cleaning house, they're declaring war." Emily's stomach twisted. "They want us to come out. Make it personal." "And we just did," Noah muttered. "They want blood. We give them ashes." They moved again. Burned everything behind. Sam set them up in a mountain lodge under fake identities. The snow fell thick, masking tracks, muting sound. But isolation didn't stop fear. Emily woke each night gasping, clutching Noah's chest as if he'd disappear. Again. "This isn't sustainable," she said one morning, staring into black coffee. "We can't live our lives underground." "We're not living," he replied. "We're surviving." Then he looked at her. "We need to finish this. We kill the head." That meant Halbrook. They began tracking her through whispers, black market chatter, former donors, ghost payrolls. She resurfaced in Montenegro, hiding behind a biotech front. Emily studied the intel like scripture. "This is where she built the second wave," Noah said, "where the next generation of Revenant begins." Flashback, Halbrook watching young recruits through mirrored glass. Her voice, "We'll start earlier this time, and use love as the weapon, not the weakness." Emily made her decision. "We take her out." They flew in via false documents, rendezvoused with an ex-operative named Theo, Jasper's last contact. "You'll get one shot," Theo warned. "She's surrounded by private security and data shredders. After this, there's no second chapter." They moved at night. Emily entered through the Foundation lab, posing as a health inspector. Noah cut power to the West Wing. They synchronized by instinct now, every glance a message. When Emily found her, Halbrook was alone in her office, sipping tea. "Emily," she said, not surprised. "Noah." She didn't reach for help, just smiled. "You finally made your move." "You took everything from us," Emily said, voice calm. "And called it science." Halbrook leaned back. "And what did you do with it?" "You fell in love, like a lab rat who thinks it's free because the maze changed." Emily raised her gun. "This ends here." "No," Halbrook whispered, suddenly smiling. "This starts here." Then her hand moved, faster than Emily expected. A dead man's switch beneath her desk. The building exploded. The shockwave sent them flying. Emily hit the wall, metal piercing her thigh. Noah crawled to her, blood trailing down his face. "Emily!" She gritted her teeth. "Still here." They limped out through the fire, sirens in the distance, gunfire ringing. But Halbrook was gone. Noah stared at the smoldering crater. "She planned for failure. She wanted us here." Emily nodded. "She's not done." Behind the explosion, another message surfaced online. A deep-fake video. Emily's face, Noah's voice, edited to confess crimes they never committed. The hunters had become the hunted. Again. The fake video spread like poison. Within hours, major outlets picked it up. Whistleblowers turned terrorists? Emily Carter and Noah Reynolds. The double agents? Their names became bait for every paranoid outlet and pundit. Governments disavowed them. Former allies ghosted. Sam vanished from the network. Theo was arrested in a staged drug bust. They were alone again. Emily watched herself on screen, her image distorted, her voice warped. "It's not just erasing us," she said. "It's replacing us." Noah nodded grimly. "It's psychological warfare. They want the world to forget who we really are and believe in what they fear we could be." They went dark, again. No phones, no internet, no names. They moved through mountain villages on foot, staying in barns, abandoned hostels, the shadows of other people's lives. Emily's leg bled for days. Infection crept in. Noah carried her when she collapsed. "I should have died back there," she murmured once. "You saved me again." "You saved me first," he whispered. Flashback, Noah's first real session, with Emily at the hospital. The first time he laughed, the first time he cried, and the first time she held his hand and said, "You're not broken, just buried." Now, buried was all they were, until they reached Prague, An old hacker Noah once protected lived off the grid there. Rafik. Untraceable, genius, dangerous. Rafik agreed to help. "I can rewrite your digital past," he said, "but only if you show the world the real one. No edits, no redactions. You go full exposure. Or none." Emily stared into Noah's eyes. "This will follow us forever. Then let it follow the truth." They crafted a final video. Raw. Unfiltered. Emily told everything. From the moment she first saw Noah bleeding on the hospital bed to the last step out of the Everlight wreckage. Noah spoke, too. "I was trained to forget what love feels like," he said, voice shaking. "But she made me remember. And that made me human again." The upload went live across decentralized networks. Not just a drop. A flood. Every dark operation, every funding route, every name, redacted no more. This time, the world couldn't ignore it. Governments panicked, executives resigned. Protests surged in major cities. Civilian task forces demanded accountability. But with visibility came danger. Bounties were placed on Emily and Noah. They became both martyrs and myths. Rafik warned them. "You need to disappear forever. Change faces, change countries." But Emily hesitated. "We've been ghosts too long. I don't want to vanish. I want to live." Noah looked at her, torn. "If we stay, they'll find us again." "I know," she said, "but if we run forever, we never win." A week later, Emily found herself in a quiet field, snow falling softly. Noah handed her a simple box. Inside, a ring. "You deserve a life," he said. "Even if it's hunted. Even if it's brief," she cried. And said yes. They were married 2 days later, under a broken sky, with no witnesses but wind and memory. Their wedding wasn't about flowers or vows. It was survival dressed in white. In a remote village church with cracked pews and frost on the windows, Emily and Noah whispered promises through trembling lips. "I don't need forever," she said. "Just this." He kissed her hand. "Then we make this enough." For a moment, they believed they could disappear. But ghosts don't get happy endings. 2 days later, Rafik was found dead in his apartment. Poisoned. His last message to them blinked across a cracked monitor. "They know where you are. Leave now." They fled again. Noah moved like instinct, Emily like shadow. They crossed borders hidden in freight trains, slept in cargo holds, lived on stolen identities. But they couldn't outrun the net tightening around them. Their names were on every watch list. Their faces on every screen. One night, while resting in a safe house in Athens, Emily found an envelope slipped under the door. Inside, a birth certificate. Her name, and a new one. A child. Flashback. Halbrook reviewing. Files. A voice behind her. "She's showing signs of attachment." Halbrook's smile was clinical. "Then it's working. Love will bind her more tightly than fear." Back in the present, Emily staggered to the bed. "They're using my DNA. They've already cloned the program, and they're starting with my blueprint." Noah's jaw clenched. "Then we burn it all." They launched one final plan. A cyber assault on the core servers of Avencor's mainframe, coordinated with whistleblowers still in hiding. Emily wrote the virus herself, a poetic justice coded in lines of resistance. "When this launches," she told Noah, "they'll lose everything. Their research, their infrastructure, their hold." Noah kissed her forehead. "Then we make our last move count." They initiated the breach from a hidden lab in Istanbul. Seconds later, the building lit with alarms, red lights, footsteps, chaos. Noah stayed behind to buy time. Emily ran with the drive. She watched from across the street as the building went up in flames. She didn't cry. She couldn't. Until she saw him stumble from the smoke, coughing, bleeding, but alive. "You didn't think I'd die without holding you one last time," he rasped, collapsing into her arms. She held him under a broken streetlight. Sirens wailed in the distance. The virus spread. Avoncore collapsed. Halbrook's name was finally exposed, attached to 100 human rights violations. But she remained unfound. Emily and Noah vanished from the headlines once more. Their final message: "You may forget our faces, but you will remember what we revealed." They had no illusions left. Emily and Noah knew the war was far from over. Exposing Avoncore was only the beginning. What remained were the fragments. The disciples of the system, scattered and furious. They would rebuild, unless someone stopped them. They chose not to run this time. Instead, they returned to the place it all began, Westbridge Medical. It was closed now, abandoned, boarded up, full of ghosts. Emily stepped through the broken front doors, hand brushing the peeling paint. "This is where they watched me," she said. "Where they shaped me." Noah scanned the halls. "Where they made us." They weren't alone. In the shadows stood Halbrook, alive, smiling. "I wondered how long it would take you," she said. "I left the trail on purpose. I wanted you to see where it started." Emily stepped forward. "Then let's end it here." Halbrook raised a hand, not with a gun, but with a switch, a detonator. "You kill me, and the rest scatter. You let me go, and I take the truth with me." But she underestimated what they had left to lose. Flashback. Emily, years ago, deleting her residency profile after false accusations. Noah, bleeding in a jungle bunker, begging to remember something real. They had already died once. What came next was vengeance. Noah spoke first. "We don't need to kill you." He stepped aside. From the hallway came dozens of footsteps. Journalists, survivors, former operatives, all watching, all recording. Halbrook froze. "Your detonator's useless now," Emily said. "This building is already rigged to reveal you. Every room wired for sound, sight, memory. You didn't bring a trap. You walked into a trial." Halbrook turned to run, but Noah tackled her, pinned her against the floor. Emily knelt beside her. "You don't get silence. You get consequences." The authorities arrived within hours. Not just local, international, war crime charges, human experimentation, the echoes of Project Revenant laid bare in open court. Halbrook's final words, captured on video: "Love was always a liability." Emily's response, given live on every global network: "Then you never understood what power truly is." The world shifted that day, and so did Emily and Noah. They vanished again, not into darkness, but into light. They bought a small house in a forgotten part of Europe. Mountains on one side, water on the other, no phones, no internet, just peace. For now. The house was small, but it breathed. Its walls held warmth instead of whispers. The windows stayed open to let in the wind. On the porch, Emily sat with a journal, ink staining her fingertips. Noah fixed the railing again. His third time, but he smiled anyway. "Maybe I'll finally get it right," he said. She looked up, half smiling. Maybe that's the point. They no longer needed to look over their shoulders. The bounty had been revoked. The names that hunted them were either behind bars, buried, or burned by exposure. The world had moved on to new distractions. But for Emily and Noah, this peace wasn't silence. It was earned. Every morning started the same. Coffee, quiet, touch. They were healing, not through medicine, but through memory. They didn't avoid what happened. They grew around it. Flashback, Emily teaching Noah to walk again. Her voice calm. His steps unsure. "It's okay to fall," she said. Not anymore, he whispered. I have you now. Now they planted a garden, tomatoes, basil, lavender. It wasn't much, but it was life. And then, something unexpected. Emily found herself dizzy, sick in the mornings. She dismissed it at first, thinking it was stress, but when the signs persisted, she went into town, alone, and returned home with trembling hands. Noah watched her enter. She didn't speak, just held up the test. Positive. He dropped the screwdriver, stared, then walked to her and placed both hands on her face. We get a second chance, he whispered. We give the world a better one, she replied. They laughed and cried, and the house, once quiet, seemed to hum with something new. Months passed, her belly grew. So did the garden. Noah built a crib by hand, every notch, every groove carved with love. Emily painted the nursery in soft tones. Outside, the world was loud, but inside, they wrote their story in whispers and heartbeat rhythms. When the baby came, it was dawn. She was born under golden light, crying like a war drum. Noah held her first, named her Hope. Emily wept as he placed the child in her arms. This time, she whispered, no one chooses her path but her. The story didn't end there, because real stories don't. They live in choices, in quiet moments, in the hands we reach for in the dark. Emily and Noah didn't erase the past. They carried it, but it no longer owned them. They had reclaimed their names, and with them, their future. If you've made it this far, let us know what you thought about the story. And if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe to catch all our upcoming stories.